Well, here we are again. An update opportunity with Maurice Kirk. Just happens to be passing this way, and so he came up to the little hideaway studio. You've come from France, Maurice. What's going on in France?
It's not France, it's Brittany.
Ah, yes.
Completely different
Quite so.
environment.
But different as far as you're concerned?
Oh, no, it's history. Remember the Guerre de Cent Ans, the 100 Years' War, and Queen Anne bequeathed the country to the King of France as long as they didn't have toll gates on their motorways. So we are the only part of France without
Are you
gates.
still, you say you are still accepted there?
Well, the day before yesterday, I was in my little village of Mergignac, which is in the centre of Brittany, and the friend of mine who... I have people who come over curious, and they like to come over for weekends with me. They always go back with quite an unusual story. And this chap was beside me, and we were in the town, and we got surrounded by gendarmes. They didn't walk, they came running from behind and in front, 4 of them, and they grabbed me and dragged me away. No formalities about, excuse me sir, we would like to have a few words with you, or you are under arrest and you are being cautioned. They grabbed me, bundled me into a cell, and then bundled me later into a Black Maria, what they call a panier salade, and sped me down about 30 miles to Pontivy, a great big brand new hospital. And half an hour before, I'd been talking to the lawyers of the firm of solicitors acting for the NHS Wales, and this psychiatrist, forensic psychiatrist, who said that I had significant brain damage and a possible brain tumour, and that and he asked the court that I be sectioned to Broadmoor, which was Ashworth High Security Prison, IPP, imprisonment for public protection. This was 3 years ago when they were trying to avoid the machine gun case eventually coming to trial. They'd had me in custody for 8 months. They knew it was a frame-up, and they knew because I wouldn't use their barrister, they were going to lose it.
Presumably the French police aren't au fait with all this.
Well, they are.
They were wanting to stop you for some simple reason? Nothing.
Well, the coincidence, remember the South Wales police painted it a different colour to fool the jury, and I'll come to that in a minute. But it's only 30 minutes before, at lunchtime, because I go there to eat. Oh, we have a little wine sometimes, but that's in the evenings. But I go for
think
food.
we've met there.
Yeah, and that's where we've been. And I spoke on the phone and said where I was in Mergignac. And we were talking about this. I have two £1 million claims, court cases starting. One against the psychiatrist, and one against the South Wales Police about the fraudulent machine gun trial. And I've got this 3-month trial coming shortly. But no, let's get back to what happened in Brittany. They took me down there, and the standard procedure is you say nothing, you shut up, and you don't walk. So they have to carry you out of the police car, and you don't talk. I suspected psychiatric. I just suspicious. What you mustn't do is communicate any information to the doctor. So it's you don't open your eyes, you don't move your head, and you hold your hands together like this, and you do no body movements at all, no wrinkled smiles, nothing, and you sit there. So I did, in a wheelchair, because they couldn't carry me. They got fed up with carrying me all over the hospital, 4 of them. And I was there for a long time, quite a long time. And then I heard them gabbling along, and more doctors arrived, and I got recognised. And I heard somebody say, "Ah, c'est le vétérinaire Ballon. C'est Maurice. Avec la nouvelle hanche." And so on and so on. And they remembered me having my new hip put in there 2 years ago. And they talked about Maymar, the doctor, who did such a brilliant job. and they talked about, how I wanted to fish out of the window to the River Bleve, and I wanted to go back and get my fishing rod, and they were all laughing. And they said, there's nothing wrong with this. There may be nothing between his ears, but the Mental Health Act we aren't going to get anywhere with this one. And the police were so annoyed, they bundled me back into the police car. It took them 20 minutes, actually, but that's another story. They put me in a dark cell for the rest of the night. At 9 o'clock next morning, they started filling up all these forms. I sign here. I said, yes, give me a copy, usual story. And they said no, and I said, well, don't expect me to sign anything. And my friend had followed them to the police station. I shouted to him, get out, they're my keys, go. And he heard them saying, right, we want him sectioned under the Mental Health Act. That could only have come from the South Wales Police, and that phone call to the lawyers for the NHS South Wales. Very frightening.
For anybody who's watching this, how long prior to this incident had you been in France?
Well, I've lived there on and off
but
for 10 years.
Immediately before this incident,
We came at 10 o'clock that morning,
right, so
2 hours before, to pick up the valuable documents for the 3-month trial about to start in February. I have to cross-examine over 100 policemen, and it's going to take at least 3 months. It's the biggest trial Wales, I think, has ever had against the South Wales Police. Every time it's come to trial in the last 25 years, they've drummed up an idea to get me sectioned, or they've locked me away from machine guns. Or
try and keep it simple. The French police then let you go.
Yeah, they let me go.
And you proceeded to Jersey?
I had to hitchhike, and then I got a lift. Then I remember where I'd left my keys for one of my cars that I have spotted around in France, and I went back and found the keys hidden in the house and drove it to Saint Malo, where I had a nice table full of oysters, and then I came here to Jersey. But what I want to mention is our meeting with John Hemming MP and Austin Mitchell MP last week, or the week before, in the House of Commons, about the state of our law courts.
Are they very well informed? Because obviously others from this island have certainly been speaking to those over the years.
Those two have been following me since I was in Guernsey. Sorry, not John Hemming, but Austin Mitchell. And John Hemming has really got his teeth into the state of our law courts, and the fact that, in fact, they both said it. They had a separate meeting in the morning, and the other one had one in the afternoon, and they both made it quite clear that things are very wrong in our UK law courts. He knows my history of Guernsey, and he knows my history of the machine gun case. I was there to give support. I didn't have to say very much, which is unusual.
Are they working with any other MPs, or is it just the two?
Oh yes, they've got a lot of MPs and Lords. There are several names, and if I get them wrong, I'd rather not list them. Victims Unite, a very important website. My own website, kirkflyingvet.com, and mine, Maurice John Kirk on WordPress, and of course Wales Against Crooked Lawyers. If only I could get the Welsh to rise up and join me. You said they're trying to get their own jurisdiction, and they're trying to get away from Wales, from Westminster, and the local boys, people, family don't realise things are so bad in Cardiff law courts. They're going to be a lot worse if they get their own autonomy.
These several cases that you're fighting over, will they all come together in a Cardiff court? Is that what's going to be?
Unfortunately, a judge 10 years ago gave me a jury, and they quickly overturned it, so I can't have a jury. I'm in front of a Welsh judge in a Welsh court in the county of Wales. It's a joke. Waste time.
How many cases, if you could express it simply, are there involved in this?
There are at least 60 or 70 incidents with the police where they've stopped me. They stopped me 35 times to produce my driving insurance. And on the 34th occasion I said no. I said Foxtrot, Oscar. And they took me to court, and it's an absolute offence not to produce your driving licence or insurance. And I said no. Balance of probability, section 10 or 11 of the Magistrates Act. It is for the prosecution. It was the only charge in the court. They'd lost all the careless driving, dangerous driving, driving without a driving license. They'd lost all those during other proceedings, and this was the last one left in a great chain of things. And the clerk of the court turned round and he said, well, Mr. Kirk is right, the onus is on the police. If I had insurance 34 times legal, what made them think I don't now? And of course that should have gone into the national papers, but because it was Wales, and of course the courts control the newspapers, other than the Gem newspaper, which is a family newspaper.
You've been getting some coverage from a Bristol radio station.
Now Tony Gosling of Radio Dialect is interviewing me quite often, and Sabina McNeill, who is the instigator of Victims Unite, and a lot of other, she's what I call our Queen Bee. Oh, she's another one that came over for a long weekend in Brittany and has a story to tell. Anybody who comes with me over there gets involved.